It's time for a sneak peek. Sneak peek, sneak peek.
Play to me is a really powerful state of mind that has three main threads: intense curiosity, radical open-mindedness, and proactive experimentation. And so what that does is it moves us to a place that is safe. So instead of going, okay, what's definitely going to happen? I say, well, let's play. What if we change the scenarios? What if we took you to the end of your goal? Let's imagine you being there. What would be different?
And now, on with the show.
When you're feeling the pressure, take a moment to step back, pick up your marbles, and choose to lead with levity. Join us on the Lead with Levity podcast for fireside chats that will fill your bucket and help you get back to being the leader you were meant to be. Now here's your host, Dr. Heather Walker.
Welcome back to the Lead with Levity podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Heather Walker, and today I have the pleasure of having a wonderful, wonderful conversation with Tracy Clark. Tracy Clark is a business and leadership high-performance coach. She helps people develop a multiplier mindset. She's been has most of her experience working in commercial industry and really spent over 25 years as the managing director of the CWC group. And oil and gas, big business, lots of experience to share with us today. Tracy, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm really well, Heather. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited by your theme of levity as well.
Yes, me too. Me too. Okay, so what excites you about levity?
What excites me about it is I think that we live in a world that's so rapidly changing and stressful, and that classic term VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous. And that's really just meaning it's just nuts out there. It's crazy.
Yes.
And it makes people very rigid, and it can make people feel very serious. And I think that seriousness can stifle creativity. It can lead to ineffective decision-making. And although it might be okay in the short term, I believe it's not right in the long term. And this is where I've been playing a lot with the founders that I work with, because they come onto calls and they are stressed. They're juggling growth, responsibilities, decisions, and you can see their shoulders are tense and they want to make some breakthroughs. So I've been exploring, okay, how do I shift them from this rigidity, and how do I move them to a place where I can unlock their best thinking? And so I've played a bit, Heather. And I stumbled across this quite accidentally. And then I noticed that there were two words that I was saying time and time again. And these two words would make their tense shoulders drop. They'd start to take a deep breath. Their eyes would even sparkle and I get a smile. And what would happen, Heather, is that the energy in the room would shift, not only for them, but for me too. And it would shift them out of this stress state to a place of possibility. And these two words are, let's play.
Okay.
And Heather, when I talk about play, many people go, oh, Tracy, do you mean like games and, frivolous games? Like, no. Play to me is a really powerful state of mind that has three main threads: intense curiosity, radical open-mindedness, and proactive experimentation. And so what that does is it moves us to a place that is safe. So instead of going, okay, what's definitely going to happen? I say, well, let's play. What if we change the scenarios? What if we took you to the end of your goal? Let's imagine you being there. What would be different? And Heather, what I love is the seriousness turns to a bit of laughter, and that sense of connection between us deepens. And it's
nice.
And it's like the let's play words provide a safe space for them to just tackle some of those challenges and explore what seemed impossible so that we can make it possible. So that's why I love what you talk about levity.
Yes, I love that. And it's I don't know anyone who does not like to play. We all have
Exactly.
definitions of what's fun and how we like to play. Some people are more competitive, some people just
Yeah.
want to play for the fun of it all,
Yeah.
but we all enjoy that. And so that reframe, I can totally see how that helps people. And do you do
And
this with groups too?
I do, but can I just pick up on a point there, which is that we all love to play, but if you reflect, I see that as we grow into adulthood, we sort of maybe feel we don't have that permission to play. Can you remember when you were younger
Yeah.
and, you'd be the astronaut and the rock star and you were doing all these crazy things and nothing was out of reach. You were literally playing with possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But then at least here in the UK, we go to school, be serious, come on, be logical, that imagination and the intuition, just put that to one side. And it's like these rules start to be imposed on us. And I think as that happens, we lose that ease to go into play, and we start to have a bit of fear. Goodness, what are they going to think? Oh, gosh, what if I look stupid? And that fear then becomes, I believe, a bit of a straitjacket that holds us back. And so that's why I like going, yeah, we love to play. What if we now give ourselves the permission to go back and play and go back and play with possibility and creativity and just challenge. We didn't question how we were going to get to Mars when we were a child. We just knew we'd get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we have this straitjacket and then we have these beliefs that are inherited and self-imposed. And when we can challenge some of those, it's like we take our straitjacket off and right, we can run the marathon now and we can enjoy it. So
Wow. Yeah, that just took me back because there there are so many people out there who, because we, at least here in America, I don't know what it's like over there, but funding and attention has been paid to science, technology, engineering, math, whereas the arts are kind of struggling. It's like, well, if you are truly gifted and what that's that's what you can do because maybe you're not as skilled in science, technology, engineering, and math, then sure, go play and sure, go be an artist and do your artsy things. But a lot of children are growing up in situations where their creativity is being taken from them because they're not being put in these situations where they're allowed to practice it, where they're reaffirmed, and where people are saying, no, you are creative. So I can imagine I can imagine you even talking to a room full of grown people who are super stressed out, and you're like, let's play with this idea. And then they're like, wait, but I'm not creative. I'm an engineer. I'm a technician. And
yeah.
what do you want me to do? I don't have time for this play stuff. How do you get them to how do you bridge that gap for them, especially if they don't feel like they're creative?
Yeah. And Heather, what I do is I build rapport and I build that trust and have a conversation. And what I found is I don't lead with we are going to play. I weave it in very naturally into the
Mm.
conversation. And what happens is it becomes invitational. So I'm like, okay, there's a bit of a challenge here, isn't there? What if let's just play and let's explore? And then often in that gap, it's almost like they feel, oh, what if that's okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't yet had anyone push back when I've been in a session. So because it is organic. And then I just start with little questions and I ease them in and get them to think about, okay, let's take your technology. What if we could take this to market and get it to revolutionize the industry? What would it take? So I'm taking them to consider questions that they might not ordinarily consider. And I think that's what can be powerful about it.
Yes, yes. How does this connect to the multiplier mindset? Is it
Yeah,
connected?
it is. It is connected. And it's connected because the principle of the multiplier leadership and multiplier mindset is that we all have so much latent potential inside us. So we're sitting there and we know that we've got a lot more inside us to unlock. So the question is, how do we unlock this, not only in ourselves, but in the team around us? So to move into the multiplier mindset, I bring in let's play because at the heart of it is questions and it's opening us up to possibility. It's getting us to think, well, what if we were able to go there? It's getting us to imagine something that in our logical linear mind we might not be able to entertain. So we're entertaining something a lot bigger, and then we're bringing in the enthusiasm, and from a leader into their team we're going, well, what if this is possible? And what if you, who have great skills and a great brain, what if you could work it out? And what the colleague feels is this belief and this challenge from the leader to explore and to find out what that answer might be. So basically, let's play is almost the gateway that helps the leader bring everyone into this multiplier mindset.
Ooh, I like that. And people need that right now.
They do.
Really, really do.
They really do. They really do. And I think they also need the safe space that this approach brings. So when I'm talking to leaders, I very much say to them, ask questions and then hold the space. You are holding back your opinion. You are there to unlock that font, that Pandora's box of ideas from your team. And so sit with them, let them come out with these ideas. So what happens is the team starts to feel it's safe to experiment. It's safe to say things that might not be 100% right, but that they are a springboard to a new idea. So that's what I love about it so much.
Okay. I want to ask you about your story, but before I move into that, I really want to make sure that we're giving a nice little package to a leader who's interested in doing this, because the last thing that I would want is for someone to say, all right, I'm going to try it. I'm going to go. We have a problem. We have all kinds of problems. And so today in my team meeting, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to say, hey, y'all, let's play. We're going to play with this idea. We're going to come up with stuff. But if you're not used to having those kinds of open conversations with your team, you could accidentally create a situation where they don't want to speak up again in the future. So can we touch on that too? Like, watch outs, warning, don't do this in the process.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to take you in 2 steps here. So the first step, I'm going to say, come back to yourself and start to, one exercise you can do is around challenging assumptions. So we are all making assumptions about ourselves, about our team members, about the market we work in, about our products or our services. So start to play by yourself and write down a list of what are the assumptions I am making, and then challenge them. Do I know that these are correct? And what if they're not correct? And I have a great story I can tell you in a minute.
Okay.
So play with that to loosen yourself up and get yourself in the spirit of it. And then there's, I think, one more stage before you introduce the let's play. And that is that as a leader, you need to get used to asking more questions and listening. So I suggest to leaders, listen, often you go into meetings and you're on a bit of a monologue, you're saying all your ideas, you've got all these great ideas and there's loads of enthusiasm, but it's a one-way conversation. So I encourage them to think that they're playing poker, that they've got, let's say, 3 to 5 chips to play. And each of those chips represents the amount of times you can talk. So if you've only got three to 5 chips to last 60 minutes, you've got to think how you use them. And what we find is that the most effective way is to prepare and think about 3 to 5 questions that are going to help stimulate debate. So in this exercise, you are shifting from dialogue to, I'm going to practice a few more questions. Then you've only got 3 to 5 chips. You better listen. See what else comes up. And even when there's a silence, hold that silence. Because often there's another wave of thinking that comes through. So it shifts them to have curiosity and presence.
Wow. I love that. I love how you just basically gamified this problem. This is a problem that a lot of leaders have. I conduct a lot of 360 interviews, and it comes up all the time where they're like, this person just gets in there and they say, and this is a common phrase, they suck all of the air out of the room.
Exactly. Yes. So as the multiplier, you want to inject the energy, and you inject it with questions and holding space and realizing you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. Your team have brilliant ideas. When you ask the questions, you are going to find more and more ideas that are going to support you all to grow and achieve that level of innovation and growth that you want.
That is so cool. You have no idea. You just broke my mind with this poker idea.
Good.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I knew we'd have fun, Heather.
Yes. Okay, so how did you even get into this? Because your background is in oil and gas. Are they having this much fun in oil and gas?
So let me make a nuance. My background is my brother and I had our own company, and it was actually in oil and gas events. So it was in the events for the international oil and gas industry.
Okay.
So we were working with leaders, with presidents, with ministers, with heads of oil companies, national oil companies from all around the world. And so we were looking to provide events that would really stimulate discussion and investment. Okay. So that is the background.
Okay.
And in
that makes sense.
Yeah, does that make sense? And we literally worked all around the world. We won 2 Queen's Awards for international trade, which was super exciting. And we were focused on delivering these events, but we also did well. In a period of 4 years, we grew by 450%, which was exciting. And then we sold the business for an 8-figure sum.
Nice.
Now, Heather, I'm making it sound like it was all easy.
Super easy, right?
Super easy, international reputation, success, of course. But there were some challenges. We had oil price crashes. We had a recession. We had the challenge of leading a team of 150 people through uncertain times. So there were difficult conversations, stressful dynamics. And so, yeah, that's sort of the container that I worked in. And a few years before we exited, we hired a consultant to come in to our business because, Heather, like I imagine many of your listeners, we knew that there was a next level, but we didn't quite know how to get there.
Yes.
And so we just became curious, and he opened our eyes to the fact that there was one element in particular that we weren't focusing on in enough depth. So we were looking at the product and the profits, and we were doing well. But on the people side, we hadn't gone deep enough. We hadn't gone deep enough specifically into understanding the psychology of the people. So what we realized was we were leaving potential on the table. So it was then I came away with thinking, goodness, here's one nugget. What else don't I know?
Wow.
So it sent me on this treasure hunt, I like to think of it as. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try and work out what unlocks personal and commercial potential. And so I trained as a coach, and I went into all the different areas, mindset and strategy, and then into the deeper levels of things like self-concept and identity and psychology. And that became just an area that I was so fascinated by that when we sold our business, I thought, there are lots of people like us who were doing well, but they don't know what they don't know. And what if I can come in and help open their eyes in partnership with them to work out what's going to move their business to the next level? So that's what I now do. I now work with business owners to help them become the multiplier leader and to really help them develop high performance teams so that they can challenge the status quo. I'm big about challenging the status quo so that they can positively disrupt their industries and make a positive impact on this world.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Now, in all of this, in your journey, I can already tell that there were some ups and I know I have my own business and I get it. There are ups and downs all the time.
Yeah.
How did you maintain your sense of play? How did you maintain that along the way?
Well, Heather, I think this is exactly where the beauty comes up. I don't think we always did. And I think that meant that the challenging times were more stressful than they could have been. And that's why I wish I'd had someone by my side who'd really helped me see the power of let's play and to really lean into that intense curiosity, the open-mindedness and the experimentation. Because I believe that would have supported us to grow further and get the best out of our teams. So
yeah, lessons learned, right?
Lessons learned, exactly.
Yes. And it's okay. I think as long as you are able to extract a lesson,
exactly,
it makes it worth it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it makes it worth it. And you never know when you're going to be standing up there on a stage one day sharing all of the messy details of what you went through, and you don't know how many people that's going to help. So it's sometimes I almost have to remind myself that even when things get stressful or when I am struggling, there's a lesson in this. And at some point I'm going to find it and I'm going to come back to the community and I'm going to say, hey,
Yeah.
This is for you too. I want to help you before you stumble on that same rock that I stumbled on. So That's a beautiful
And
thing.
I think, Heather, it's in those challenging times, it's leaning into the intense curiosity and saying, okay, this feels pretty rough, but what's the silver lining in here? What could I be grateful for about this situation? And I think as you do that, you shift perspective and your thinking shifts. And that's what I love about Let's Play, is it really shifts and brings out the best level of thinking, best quality of thinking that you have.
Yes, yes, that's beautiful. And I know that you have something that you've put together. You've been working very hard on this for the
Yeah.
community. Can you tell us a little bit about this scorecard?
Yes, absolutely. I'm passionate, Heather, about helping people and adding value. And so I started to see that a couple of my models in particular were really resonating with my clients. And I thought, I wonder how I can put this in a format that other founders can benefit from. So I've developed what's called the Leadership Success Scorecard. And it's based on, as I say, two of my models. One of them, which looks at what is the driver of success. And this is in the shape of a tree. The tree basically saying that the trunk's above the ground is where most people focus, strategy and actions, and what are we going to do? But a trunk can't survive without roots. So what I do is I open people up to going, well, what is in those roots? And what I've seen in this journey of curiosity is that we've got mindset, we've got self-awareness, and really at the depth of what drives everything, we've got that concept that we hold of ourselves. And that is what directly impacts the result that you're going to get. Okay. So this is the most powerful tool I have with my clients. So this is a big part of the scorecard. And then I overlay the 6 indicators of success, which are clarity, conviction, commitment, playfulness, trust, and courage. And what I do is I get people to answer this quiz, and it's going to ask them questions about those indicators that relates to each part of the tree, so that they can then see how they score, and they will receive a tailored report into their inbox with tips and hints, well, as well as their results, tips and
I hope
hints.
so.
Of course they're going to get their results. Tips and hints on how they can increase each level, each indicator of success at each level of the tree. And so there's a lot of meat and a lot of information. So I invite people to, founders and leaders, go and use it. It takes 3 or 4 minutes to fill out, and you will get a wealth of information. And if there's anything you're not sure of, you don't understand, just reach out to me, and I'm always happy to have a call. When I see people are committed, I'm committed to that development too.
Oh, I love that. So, a couple of takeaways that I had from our conversation today is I really loved what you said about we all have latent potential inside of us. It's just a matter of getting curious, that coming with a radical open mindset, being proactive in the way you experiment with your day, your life, your team, your work, and playing with all of the variables to see what can we come up with that we weren't able to come up with before, because there's an answer out there. We just don't see it yet.
And Heather, I'm going to add a nuance. I agree with everything you've said. And one of the areas that I do a lot of work around is self-concept and identity that's in the root, really the base level of the root. And that's where I encourage people to play. And they can play in this way. They can think about what's this big vision that I'm working towards? And then you come back to the root and you think about, how will I be showing up? What is that version of myself who will have achieved that vision? Who is the version of me, so Heather 2.0, Tracy 2.0, who is aligned with my vision? And play with that version. How am I showing up? How am I leading? What am I doing? Go into that world, bring that to life. That is where the latent potential is really unlocked.
Very cool. And if anyone is interested in learning more about you and getting connected to you, where should they go?
LinkedIn is the best place. I do have a website, but I'm present on LinkedIn. I post regularly. So I'm Tracy Clark Coach on LinkedIn, and have a look at my content and reach out to me. I'm always delighted to have conversations with leaders who want to create an impact and want to especially develop businesses that are going to make a positive impact on this world.
Me too. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been such a fascinating conversation, and I'm looking forward to playing with these ideas myself. Thank you, Tracy. This has been good.
Heather, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I've loved the way it's just flowed. So thank you again.
Thanks for tuning in to the Lead with Levity podcast. To get resources mentioned in this episode and find out what we're all about, check us out at leadwithlevity.com.